YouTubers, Red Crimson Gaming here, back again. You seen the title, all Nintendo Switch 2 leaks, release date, pricing, full specs, GPU, CPU, launch games, sales, and more. So let's just get right into it. Here's a full breakdown of every Nintendo Switch 2 leak and rumor so far, including its release date, expected price, hardware specs, and the games coming at launch. If you've been keeping even half an eye on Nintendo lately, then you already know how much excitement is building around the Nintendo Switch 2, especially after the official reveal earlier this year. It's been over 8 years since the original Switch launched, and fans are more than ready for the next gen console. Over the last few months, leaks and insider reports have been dropping like crazy, each giving us a little more insight into what Nintendo might have in store. To make things even more exciting, Nintendo is holding a special Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd, which is just around the corner, guys. It looks like we're finally going to get some answers straight from the source. But until then, we have gathered every leak and rumor that's come out so far, from specs to launch games and pricing. Here's everything you need to know about the Nintendo Switch 2. So, Nintendo Switch 2 leak release date. While there have been tons and tons of rumors going around about when we can expect to get our hands on Nintendo Switch 2, well, according to reliable leaker and insider Exorcist1, the Nintendo Switch 2 is currently on track to launch in late June 2025. According to what I've been told, the Nintendo Switch 2 is currently planned for release at the end of June, said Exorcist1. I don't have an exact date, but that's the current target. What I'm hearing is that it will be officially revealed in early April with a release set for late June. While there's no exact day locked in just yet, the insider has a solid track record when it comes to early Xbox details. So, Nintendo Switch 2 leaked price. Let's talk pricing now. When it comes to price, leaks suggest the Switch 2 will cost more than any previous Nintendo console. Wow. The original Switch launched at $300, but several reports, including one from Bloomberg, quoting analyst Hideki Yasuda, say we might be looking at a $400 to $500 price tag. And that was my guess, guys. I told you that. This price hike most likely comes down to hardware costs. Yasuda mentions that the upgraded Nvidia chip alone could cost up to $150 per unit, compared to $80 for the original model. So while it's definitely pricier, the extra cost is going straight into better tech, and I can definitely respect that. And I've been telling you guys for a long time, I don't care what the Switch costs, as long as it do what it's supposed to do, I'm willing to pay the extra bucks. The original Switch Nvidia chip is estimated to cost $80 per unit, while the Switch 2's chip is likely to be in the $130 to $150 range, said Yasuda. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo goes ahead with $500. Another report from analyst Hideki Yasuda suggests that Nintendo is aiming to launch early and avoid competing directly with Sony's next console, PlayStation 6, which is expected for another few years. Now, let's talk about Nintendo Switch 2 expected sales. According to analyst Hideki Yasuda from Tokyo Securities, gotta love those analysts, guys, Nintendo is expected a massive launch for the Switch 2, big enough to outperform the PlayStation 5's debut. Yasuda estimates that Nintendo could have 6 million units within the first 3 months of launch, surpassing the PS5's 4.5 million units sold in the same time frame. Damn, Nintendo, what happened to the 8 million? But 6 million is a lot. It's more than the PS5, so that's a good sign, guys. And it makes sense that Nintendo would have a bigger launch than the PS5. They had several years to make the damn Switch. The Switch was supposed to come out like 2 years ago. He also noted that Nintendo is stockpiling a large number of consoles in preparation, as they should, aiming to avoid the kind of supply issues that have affected other hardware launches. Cough, cough. PS5 and Xbox Series X. Nintendo Switch 2 display and screen. Let's talk about that screen, baby. While some were hoping for an OLED upgrade, leaker Secret Board from Family Boy says Nintendo has opted for a 120Hz LCD panel instead. But don't worry, it's not just your average screen. According to this leak, the Switch 2 screen will also support high dynamic range and variable refresh rate, aka HDR and VRR. That means smoother performance and better visuals, especially in fast-paced games. The refresh rate boost is a big deal and could bring a noticeable improvement over the 60Hz display of the current Switch. All sounds good. Now, let's talk about the hardware specs. Nintendo Switch 2 full spec leak, CPU, GPU, and RAM. So I guess this is the meat and potatoes, right, guys? The meat and potatoes for me was actually the 120Hz HDR VRR screen. But let's go. The most detailed hardware leak so far comes from a report that reveals a full breakdown of the Switch 2 specs. The CPU ARM Cortex A78C. It has 8 cores. The L1, L2, L3 cache sizes are unknown at this point. The GPU, of course, is from Nvidia. It's a T239 Ampere, 1 graphic processing cluster, 12 streaming multi-processors, 1,534 CUDA cores, 6 texture processing clusters, 48 Gen 3 tensor cores, 2 ray tracing cores. Wow. RAM 12 gigabytes LPDDR5. I don't know why Nintendo just didn't go for 16 gigs of RAM. That still would have given it a lot more legs and a lot more overhead going into the future, where you might not even need a system refresh. CPU in handheld mode, check this out, guys, runs at a clock speed of 998.4 megahertz. The GPU runs at 561 megahertz. That's really, really low, which equivalents out to 1.72 teraflops. That's more than the Steam Deck. I think the Steam Deck is on 1.6 teraflops. Memory frequency 4,266 megahertz. Memory bandwidth 68.256 gigabytes per second. Now let's get into the dock mode. The CPU runs at 1100.8 megahertz. Big upgrade from the docked. From the handheld mode. The GPU runs at 1,007.25 megahertz, which equivalents up to 3.09 teraflops. That's like what, at least a teraflop less than what the PS4 Pro is, I believe. Memory frequency 6400 megahertz and a memory bandwidth of 102.4 gigabytes per second. As mentioned above, Switch 2 is expected to come with 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, a big jump from the 4 gigabyte in the original Switch. Wow. In handheld mode, the CPU is said to run at 998.4 megahertz and the GPU at 561 megahertz, pushing out around 1.72 T-flops of performance. In dot mode, those speeds climb to 1100.8 megahertz and 1,007.25 megahertz on the GPU side, delivering around 3.09 T-flops. The memory bandwidth also changes depending on the mode. 6.82 gigabytes in handheld, 102.4 gigabytes when dot. Below, you can find the specs compared between the original Switch and the Switch 2. So, so if you actually look right here, the Switch 2, wow, the Switch 2 has so much more CUDA cores in the original Switch. The original Switch is 256 compared to 1534 on the Switch 2. The bus width is 128-bit compared to 64-bit on the original Switch. The memory size 12 gigabytes. Okay, well, you guys see the specs on screen. Okay. Let's speak about the Nintendo Switch 2 performance comparison leaks. Multiple leakers, including Zachi Cat Games, have compared the Switch 2 performance to other rival consoles. According to their analysis, the new Switch in handheld mode could outperform the Steam Deck, which clocks in at around 1.6 teraflops. As it should, guys. It's using newer tech. The tech in the Switch 2 is even better than the tech that's in the Steam Deck. I wouldn't even worry about T-flops, man. T-flops is just a thing of the past, man. Docked, the Switch 2 GPU could hit performance levels close to a quarter of an Nvidia RTX 360. Wow, what? Yo, guys, did you hear that? In docked mode, the Switch 2's GPU could hit performance levels close to a quarter of an Nvidia RTX 3060. That is crazy. Nintendo Switch 2 all leaked games. Alright guys, so let's talk about the games. The biggest excitement for any new console is the games, and based on multiple reports, we're looking at a stacked launch window. Here are some of the titles that insiders claim will be available at or post-launch. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Elden Ring, Tekken 8, Call of Duty, rumored to either be Black Ops 6 or Warzone. Isn't it the same thing? Fallout 4, okay, Starfield, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Halo the Master Chief Collection. Is the Master Chief Collection going to be offline on the Nintendo Switch? Do I need to sign into an ugly Microsoft account that normally pops up on the Xbox? I hope not. I hope it's just one of those titles where you can play offline. And for God's sake, Microsoft, please let it be available in cartridge format. To have Halo Master Chief Collection on a cartridge to put on that shelf, that'll be boss. If even half of these titles make it to launch, it'll be the strongest start for any Nintendo console yet. Well, I guess Zelda Breath of the Wild has something to say about that. Nintendo Switch 2 third-party support, guys. One of the most promising signs for the Switch 2 is how much interest it's getting from third-party developers. According to YouTuber and Insider TVPH, companies like Ubisoft, EA, Sega, Bandai Namco, Capcom, and Microsoft are all considering bringing their biggest, most ambitious games to the platform. So does that mean we're going to see Forza and Gears of War on a Nintendo system? Man, I would love to have the Gears of War collection on a Nintendo platform on a cartridge, complete. All DLCs on a cartridge. I don't care if they break it up. Gears 1, 2, 3, etc. on a cartridge, man. Man, that'll be so boss. But let's carry on. This is a huge change from the original Switch, which mostly got older ports of lighter titles. Yeah, true. If the leaks are true, Switch 2 is finally seen as powerful enough to run modern AAA games without major compromises. That is so true, man. Is Switch 2 already in the wild? Believe it or not, according to Apple leaker Kang, there are already real Switch 2 units out there being used. Wow, I would like to be a fly on the wall when they turn that Switch 2 on and it's playing it in a handheld mode or even docked. Wow, man. Yeah, I am so excited for the Switch 2, man. I cannot wait for this April 2nd Direct and then for them to announce when they're going to release this system. When that Switch 2 drop, oh my gosh, man. It's going to kill everything. Guys, this is really great news, man. And to top it off, it's gonna have the power of a quarter of a power of a 3060. But then again, I'm not surprised, man. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, but it makes sense because remember, guys, you got to remember that for years now, Nvidia broke the chip down. They said they're using features from the RTX 30 series card, so it makes sense. So it's like they combining the features from an RTX 30 series card on a custom 2050 card. So basically it's like almost best of both worlds. Anyway, so let's carry on. But not by the public. Kang posted on Weibo that a few accessory makers and trusted insiders have access to the actual console for testing purposes. That makes sense. I wouldn't think the average person would have the Switch 2 in a while. Come on now. All signs point to the Nintendo Switch 2 being a major upgrade in almost every way. Of course, man. More power, a better screen, big name launch games, and real interest from major developers. But it's important to remember none of this is confirmed yet. These are all leaks, rumors, and insider info, and things can change. Well, I hope if they change for the better. We'll get official answers next week during the April 2nd Nintendo Direct. But until then, this is the most complete picture we have got. What do you think of all these leaks? Are you planning to pick up a Switch 2 at launch? Let us know your thoughts below. Of course I'm picking up a Switch 2. Who isn't? Even the haters, even those haters that mask their God, even those haters that send me those stupid comments about Switch is garbage, those people are gonna get it. Everybody that said the Switch was garbage are the same people who contributed to the Switch's 150 plus million sales. Don't get mad because the Switch is better than your favorite system. The current Switch kick ass, and the Switch 2, oh my God, from what I'm hearing, from what I've been hearing over the past years and months, especially the most recent months, man, yo, the Switch is going to be a kick-ass system. The Switch 2 is going to be the go-to system. You will not need your Series X anymore. You will not need your PS5 and PS5 Pro. Hell, you're not even going to need your PS6 or whatever else Microsoft is coming out with. Nobody gives a crap about Microsoft trying to team up with Steam. That's not even going to fly. You're not going to beat Nintendo, dude. I mean, you have the brilliant first-party titles from Nintendo. Not to mention third-party support. They cannot lose. And the Switch 2 has a quarter power of a 3060. Oh my gosh, that means, and put the things into perspective, guys. First of all, on paper, this thing is already powerful. On paper, if you understand, you can read specs. Not to mention the Switch is using modern tech. It's already way more powerful than a PS4 Pro. I don't know where these rumors came from, but I think Nintendo put those rumors out there to throw the competition off, so the competition can think, oh, they're still using outdated tech. It's not even going to be that much more powerful. We get it, but yo, Nintendo knows what they're doing. They're playing with people. But I already know Nintendo's not going to take 8 years to make a system that can play PS4 games, whereas the current Switch has Xbox One and PS4 ports. That makes no sense. But I love this new Nintendo president because he's taking the Switch really serious. He's taking competition serious. He knows, even though Nintendo stopped focusing on graphics all the time, he knows you have to have that perfect balance between graphics and gameplay. And from what I'm hearing, it seems like majority of the games on the base level is going to be 60 FPS. So now we're getting smooth gameplay across the board. And not to mention, to equal everything off, we're going to have the graphics. And now we're finally getting the graphics and the frame rate. I didn't care so much about the graphics. The graphics didn't really bother me on the Switch. It was just the frame rate and some of the games. A lot of the games, I guess. But if the Switches had like 60 FPS in all their games, yo, I'd be fine with it. I'd be happy with it. But now we're getting way more headroom with the frame rate and the graphics. So, and from what I'm reading, it has better ray tracing cores than the PS5. But they even said that anyway. That's nothing new. So So for all you people out there, and you YouTubers too, because a lot of you YouTubers don't know what the hell you all are talking about, man. You don't understand specs on how things work. And I don't know who started that rumor, that lie that the Switch is going to be on par, the Switch 2 is going to be on par with the PS4. That's nonsense. That doesn't even make any sense whatsoever when the current Switch can already play PS4 games. This thing sounds like it's going to be powerful. It's going to be powerful enough for what it needs it to do. Nintendo stepped up. They want to make sure the Switch 2 is powerful enough to run every AAA game. It doesn't have to be the most powerful platform, because not even PS5 is the most powerful platform. Not even the PS5 Pro. When it comes to consoles and handhelds, we shouldn't even be talking about power. That's a PC thing. As long as the Switch can play every single AAA game, at least on a base level 60 FPS, I'm cool with that. But it seems like, man, you guys get the point, man. And then on top of that, we know we're getting a little OLED model later on down the line. Shoot, man, 120 hertz screen, and it has to have 100. That's not even a rumor. I believe that, because they signed a deal with Microsoft to put Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch 2. So you already know you need higher frame rates to compete with other platforms. You can't put Call of Duty on a system that only can play 30 FPS versus, the PC that can play 120 FPS and it doesn't make it. So everything makes sense, guys. It's real clear and cut. So the only people that thinking the Switch 2 is going to be underpowered are people that's upset that Nintendo's really stepping their game up and they're going to give their favorite console a run for their money. So when the Switch 2 finally drops, matter of fact, when they reveal the Switch 2 and then we see that the frame rate is not 30 FPS anymore, we're getting 60 to 120 FPS and we're getting great graphics, I don't want to hear any more excuses. I don't want to hear about any more bad ports, low frame rate, low graphics. Everything's going to be even across the board. And here's the thing. I think the graphics is going to look, matter of fact, I'm like 99% sure on this. The Switch graphics, you won't be able to tell the difference from a PS5. I think it's going to look the same. Matter of fact, I think it might even look better because it's newer technology, but it's going to look the same. Video games haven't changed much graphically since 2013. From 2013 all the way to 2025 with the PS4, Xbox One to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, all diminishing returns. Same dashboard, same controller, same graphics. It doesn't look any different. The PS5 is a souped up PS4. The Series X is a souped up Xbox One S. It's the same thing. We got to a point where we can't make the graphics look any better. And most importantly, guys, let's not forget, a handheld can mimic consoles well. What I mean by that is, in handheld form, it's going to look identical to what the big consoles are doing on the TV. You won't see a difference. It's sort of like how if you play a ROG Ally to Legion Go, even the 800 to 1080p, it looks like a 4K game. It looks 4K when you're playing on the screen. You can't really tell the difference unless you blow it up on the screen. So Nintendo, they're stepping in the right direction. This is good news, man. And they had to step it up. I knew Nintendo had to step it up. They couldn't. They're in a perfect position, man. Nintendo is in a very perfect position right now because there's diminishing returns on the graphics on consoles. They haven't looked better since 2013. And so therefore, the games are going to look the same across the board. And Nintendo's going to win because you can take it portably. And that's a winning factor of the Switch. It's portable. And now you'll be able to play the same AAA games without any compromises. And you can bring it in your pocket. Good luck trying to fit your PC, your monitor, your Xbox, or your PlayStation, and your 60-inch TV in your pocket. You can't. But the Nintendo Switch 2, you can probably fit in your pocket. I can fit the current Switch in my pocket. So it's a win-win situation for Nintendo. And once third parties on board and the hardware is powerful enough for them to run every AAA games, it's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. There's nothing nobody can do. Steam Deck 2, if they make a Steam Deck 2, it's not going to be able to mess with Nintendo. That's it. I'm glad Nintendo, actually, it sounds like Nintendo exceeded my expectations. I already knew in my mind that the Switch 2 was going to be good enough to play the AAA games, but they actually exceeded my expectation, guys. The thing is going to be 4K docked. It doesn't matter if it's upscaled. And I hear some people in the comment section talking about, well, you know, upscaling has artifacts. I have the 5090 card and I see artifacts. I think some of those guys are lying. But at the end of the day though, man, like, PC isn't optimized well like a console. Nintendo, they had time to make sure this thing is optimized to a T. You hear me? This is the best article I've heard in a while, and I believe it's true for the simple fact that we're close to the finishing line. The Switch 2 announcement is next week, guys, and then on top of that, they're gonna give us the date where we can pre-order it. They're gonna kill it, man. And actually, I think from what I'm hearing, with all these news I've gathered, from what I've read, the Switch 2, I believe, if it's on the market for 8 years, it's going to surpass what the current Switch sold. It's going to exceed 150 million. This is crazy, guys. So all Nintendo has to do, I would just go ahead and just sell the current Switch that's on the market for cheap now. They might as well just significantly drop the price on the Switch and just keep the OLED model. Get rid of the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite I don't want to say it's a garbage system, but it's a garbage system. Like, I do not like the Switch Lite. The only good thing I liked about the Switch Lite, it was small enough to fit in your pocket, and I can play it and hide it at work. If somebody come along, I can just fold it up in my hand, and they wouldn't even know I have a Switch. They would think it's my phone, or just drop it in my pocket. That's the only thing I liked about the Switch Lite, but the screen was too small on there. But I mean, come on, guys. Like, so, and speaking about, you know, this video went on for far too long, guys. I wasn't expecting to make this long of a video, but hey, I'm enjoying myself, man, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. This article, this is the best article I've read on the Switch 2, guys. I'm just excited, and I'm just trying to get everything out of my system, because, you know, I don't like to keep on making Switch videos every day like some people, you know, to the point where they're repeating themselves and they talk about the same thing over and over. But I'm going to just end the video by saying this. Matter of fact, as far as pricing, 400 to 500 is about right. So it could be 4 or 450 or 500. That's about right. That was always my guess for what we're getting. And I've told people, if the Switch does what it needs to do, I'll pay 500. And if you can play every single third-party game on the Switch with no compromises, 60 FPS as the base, and beyond that, 120 FPS plus HDR and VRR, great battery life, and the graphics is on par with like what you can see on a PC or like the consoles, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, I would gladly pay 500. From what they're telling me, this system is worth 500. I will pay that 500. People paid $1,000, $1,300 for their Galaxy S5 and their iPhone 16 or whatnot and laptops. If the Switch does what it's supposed to do, I will buy it for $500. Now, if it didn't have ray tracing, 120 hertz screen, and it's not going to have good graphics comparable to the PS5, and it's not going to be 60 FPS with all games, then of course not. It wouldn't be worth $500. They may as well sell it for $400. But with the tariffs going on and the extra taxing, $500 makes a lot of sense. I would pay whatever, $450, $500, honestly. So to save up your money, guys. So they said the system is going to be released late June. So that's April. So they're giving you 2 months to get your money for the Switch 2, and you have still until the end of June to get the system. So even if you're a late bird, you got bills, you still have until the end of June to pre-order your copy. And You know, I've seen people complain about the price, so Nintendo needs to keep their costs down for kids. Listen, man, kids aren't playing the Nintendo console. Adults are. Don't think only kids are buying Nintendo platforms. They don't buy Xbox and PlayStation. Kids buy more so Xbox consoles, to be honest with you. Us adults are the ones that's buying a Nintendo Switch. And I've seen some YouTubers, I'm not going to call their names, which is funny to me. $500 in this day and age in 2025 is not a lot of money for a console, especially a console that does everything with barely any promises. Anybody can save up $500. If you know the Switch is going to cost $500, you have 2 months from now to save $500. You mean to tell me it's 4 weeks in a month and you can't save $100 a week for at least 2 months? Come on, guys. You just put away $100 a week, and in a month you have the money for the Switch, for the Switch 2. I mean, come on, guys. People kill me, man. $500 is a lot of money for a console. No, it's not. Gaming is an expensive hobby, no matter what. The PS5 Pro is $700. People still bought it. If you know the system is going to cost between $4 or $5, save $100 a week, or put it on your credit card. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Man, any comments you have, man, just drop it in the comment section. So let's have a conversation on this. This is crazy, man. The Switch 2 is gonna shut everything down. This thing is going to be on the news. People are gonna go nuts, crazy over this. Very Crims, I'm out of here, man. Like and subscribe.